What a gorgeous day. What a gorgeous last few days. I don't know how you count them. Maybe that's the point of it. I wanted to start this morning a little differently and ask a question, just to set a context. And my question is, what is that place? When was that moment? Or think of a moment, a place when you were completely at peace, a moment of joy, a moment of just everything is great. And you're kind of a moment beyond thought. So if you take a moment and just place yourself there, does anybody want to share that place or that moment with us? If so, just go ahead and unmute yourself. And it doesn't have to be profound. It can just be whatever is so for you. A moment when you felt at peace, joyful. Paul.
Not to sound corny, but I'm with the community. I've got a pug softly snoring in my lap. I'm holding a cup of coffee.
Nice. Thank you.
Enough said.
Thank you. Anyone else? There's a point to this. I need a few more answers. Marsh?
Okay. So I think anytime my body is in the sunshine, there's something that happens that just makes it so, it just does that to me. So I've got lots of experiences of that, but a major one, a really big one was after scuba dive with my family, and just the boat ride back in the sunshine, and just that feeling of accomplishment was just so amazing, just amazing. So just that one.
Beautiful.
Great. Thanks, Marsh.
When I went to my favorite Japanese restaurant and had a lobster roll for the first time and ate it and took that first bite and just was immediately launched into supreme bliss. I will never forget that moment. There was no place I would rather be than at that sushi bar.
Lovely.
Great, Gabriel. I can taste it.
I have one.
Okay, Lori.
This morning we were sitting and I heard the wind outside, and I'm not necessarily a lover of wind. So I just said, I'm going to just take in the energy of that wind, and it's going to be me. I'm going to be in the cycle of it. And I felt so good. Felt amazing.
Nice. All right, one more. Sharma.
Oh, all right.
I was in a car in the middle of Montana, in the middle of nowhere, with someone I loved very much. And there was just infinite space around me. And it was a moment of supreme peace and happiness.
Beautiful.
Really nice.
That's great.
Nice. And where were you, Sharma?
I was outside, way outside of Livingston, Montana, driving. I don't remember where we were going, but it was far.
But in that moment you've described, that feeling you've described, where was Sharma?
Oh, I was not there. I was just part of the air.
Wonderful. My talk is complete. Philip, you were about to say something.
Well, for me, just seeing my plants grow in the garden and playing music and just hearing music as I play it is pretty fun.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Amazing.
So, Philip, what do you think the point of the question is?
Yeah, not about, well, just whatever was happening in that moment is sort of complete. It doesn't need to be, yeah, nothing about whatever the story of me is very important. Playing music, you know, it's just I'm just sort of enjoying the show.
Yeah. Thank you. Ken, Lori said you were raising your hand, so I didn't mean to skip over you.
Last evening, I don't know, 6 o'clock-ish or something like that, I happened to look out my window and I noticed a green glow in the sky. So I ran outside, stood on the sidewalk, and became a part of this unbelievable green, yellow, blue, orange sky with a sliver of a fingernail of moon.
Oh,
And there it was. It was absolutely complete.
I think this is where in the ancient Zen text, the teacher just descends from the rostrum and we're done. But I won't let myself off quite that easily this morning. You know, it's all around us. In the newsletter, I wrote about being on the trail with Lori the other day and coming around a corner and there's this teepee, you know? And I mean, it was a glorious day. And, you know, the frame of the teepee is there and, you know, it holds the sky and releases the sky in a certain way. You know, this teepee has been there. Everybody still hear me? Yeah. This teepee has been there. I don't even know how long. I haven't looked up the history of it. But the point is the teepee has been there. And we didn't know it. And yet there it appears. There it appears. You know, and so we decided with, you know, that we hadn't gone quite far enough and we wanted to see where this trail went on up to where we've been before. So we kept going, and then, you know, all of a sudden there's a little bee farm. And then we kept going from that, and like this is up in the middle of, you know, the Angeles forest. There's a mailbox on the side of the road, and then we realized that the mailbox was for the bee farm, and it said bee flat on it. And anyway, there's like all these things occurring that we had no idea of prior to that and had no preconception of them occurring. And they were wonderful and so simple and so wonderful. Now, of course, someone else a couple weeks earlier had said they were going to run down to the teepee, which of course raised the question of what's this teepee? You know, and maybe we should go find it, which as I wrote was, you know, a lot like reading some books about Buddhism and enlightenment and oneness and unity and self, body and self dropping away, and that was kind of cool, but you know, I had to go find it. Had to get on the trail, get on that cushion and go find this thing that is just there and readily apparent and available always. And you know, and yet I had to go find it, and we had to, you know, we did set TP as a destination, and then discovered B flat as well. So, you know, there are these occurrences of this thing that we seek. And yet the occurrences are always there. When we start teaching meditation in corporate environments, I will often start with that exercise I just started with you guys. Of, you know, think of a time, think of a place in which you have experienced pure joy, pure peace. Music comes up often, listening to music or playing music. Gardening and nature come up, as a couple of you mentioned. Sometimes it's holding a newborn infant. Sometimes it's cooking. Sometimes it's the sunset. And then the question that I will ask those audiences is, wouldn't it be great if you could reclaim that at any moment? Wouldn't it be great if you could grab that bit of peace, if you could experience that peace at will, on demand, to use secular language? Enlightenment on demand. And everybody's like, yeah, that would be kind of cool. And so then we take them into, a meditation instruction. So, simply put, we're all far into that practice, and this is here all the time. It's sometimes described as the little joys in life. And I think that's a funny expression, the little joys. Like, what's a big joy? And is it a little joy or a big joy that Clancy just handed Philip some tea? Yeah, it's joy. Was it a little joy or a big joy that I finally got to meet Clancy in person on Thursday night at our sunset sit? What makes something little or big? What makes a joy big? I think really what people are getting at with the expression is, or with the use of the word little, is that it's always there. It's like, it's not some big accomplishment. It's just seeing it, recognizing it, realizing it. And with that, I'd like to continue our water journey. I realized that 2 weeks ago, we did Voice of the Raindrops. And then last week we did, on flowing, on rushing water, tossing a ball on rushing water. So why not continue the water-based exploration with case 78 of the Blue Cliff record? Okay. And case 78 is Bodhisattvas take a bath. So all of you Bodhisattvas, I want you to listen carefully. In the old days, there were 16 Bodhisattvas. When they entered their bath together at their usual time, all of them realized the cause of water and said, "The essence of touch is subtle and clear. We have attained the place where the sons and daughters of Buddha dwell." Secho said, "How do you understand these words? You can realize this by penetrating it from all directions." That was my Zumi's translation of the case. The verse from The Secrets of the Blue Cliff Records: "It takes one Zenist who's finished the work, stretching out on the bench and lying down. In a dream, there's been talk of realizing complete communion, having washed with fragrant water a spit in the face." Okay, so that's Secho's verse, which we can visit. So 16 bodhisattvas enter the bath at their usual time. The story of the 16 bodhisattvas comes from the Surangama Sutra, which is actually a story of 25 bodhisattvas describing their enlightenment experiences. And I'm going to read just a bit here rather than just recite this tale. In the Surangama Sutra, there is an episode in which 25 bodhisattvas relate their experiences of attaining realization. First, Kyochinyo and 4 others stand up and describe their paths to realization. Kyochinyo says, "As for my realization, seeing a sight was the primary cause of it. There you go, Ken, with the sun. Second, Kyogen Doji says, smelling a scent was my cause of realization. Third, Yakyo and Yakujo cite tasting as the cause of their realization. Fourth, Badabara and the 15 other bodhisattvas of the present case, and now we're on the 16 bodhisattvas. They bow to the Buddha, and Badabara says, we formerly heard the preaching of Ionyo and became monks. At the monks' bath time following the rule, we entered the bathroom. They entered the bath. And that's where we go to. All of them realized the cause of water and said the essence of touch is subtle and clear. We have attained the place where the sons of Buddhas dwell. So, it's interesting here when you link this story to the stories you just told, because we often think that this thing called enlightenment, this thing that so many of us seek, is some spiritual experience outside of experience. And in that belief, sometimes the ordinary senses of sight, sight, hearing, touch, smell, taste, get underrated. Well, that's the phenomenal world. No, I'm talking about the absolute world. I want to have this realization in the absolute world. And yet that view is one of separating our senses and separating our everyday lives and separating our experiences, the ones you just described, separating those from enlightenment, holding the relative and absolute as something distinct and different, and that I have to move from one to the other, and that enlightenment exists in one and not in the other. And so we have these 16 monks entering a bath, and all of a sudden they get it. To put it in plainer language. And not only do they get it simultaneously. It reminds me of many, many years ago, maybe 15 years ago, when our son Nick was a little boy. He was probably 10. We were in I know he had to be older than that. So yeah, we were in Mammoth and in a swimming pool. And Nick and I were playing in the pool, and after a day of skiing, and I remember so clearly, we were down in one corner of the pool, and Nick, this kid, he lifted his hand out of the water, and water was dripping, and he said, "Zen is so weird." And he had been introduced to Zen, and he had been sitting, and Sharma, you remember all of this, and we had a kids Jukai group. But, he just simply lifted his hand out of the pool of water and let water drip and said, Zen is so weird. And I just, I always remember that so well. This Zen is so weird. This experience of it, right? In a swimming pool, in a bath, in the raindrops, in the garden, in nature. Galen, you have a garden too, right? Yeah, cooking, singing, playing music. There it is, the teepee on the trail. I had a professional coach, professional/life coach at one point, a woman by the name of Debbie Robbins, who in one of the coachings that she gave me was this return to one, this return to the center, the return to grace, that moment of joy. Was a visualization much like we started with this morning. And she said, what's a moment of pure joy for you? And I said, and without thinking too much about it, I said, paddling out on my surfboard early in the morning with an offshore breeze, turning around to take off in the wave and the spray from the offshore breeze with the sun behind it coming into my face. So cold. Water. Here we are with water again. And there it is. Nick in the pool, the monks in the bath. But we have to keep practicing, and life is sometimes a bitch. Debbie Robbins ended up taking her own life. This is somebody Lori and I knew quite well. And though she worked diligently and with full heart to help others, in the end, the pain that she couldn't get away from was stronger. This is not always easy. It's not always peaches and cream, water in the face. She gave it a go. She gave it a go. So what did they realize? The essence of touch is subtle and clear. We have attained the place where the children of Buddha dwell. Of course, because it's an ancient text, it says the sons of the Buddha, but why not change it? Secha goes on to say that, to understand these words, you need to penetrate them clearly. In other translations, it says that you have to pierce 7 times and break through another 8. Now, what is this getting at? It's getting at the folly of me sitting here talking about it, the conceptual understanding of it. Because even in our description of these moments, we start conceptualizing it, we start telling a story of it, and Nick is dropping water and saying Zen is weird, and then I as a father have feelings about that, and as a teacher have feelings about that, and start using that. What's the pure experience? What's the pure experience? And that's why, and so we sit zazen, right, to get even beyond those descriptions. Because it's not the sensory side of it itself that is a problem, but the attachment to, and then I felt, and then I thought, and that made me think, and now I'm enlightened. And now I'm enlightened. So in the verse, when Secho says, having washed with fragrant water, a spit right in the face. In another translation, he says, I spit in their face, And that's going to the point of the monks saying, we've got it. We now dwell in the house of the Buddha. We're enlightened. And, this goes back to, well, wash the bowls, get back to work. Take it into your ordinary life, as we often say here at Prajna Heart. Where does the rubber meet the road? Great. Let go of it. And, experience it fully and experience the joy, but be careful of the story and the attachment and the attainment. This goes to, and there's a lot of koans about this. Case 43 in the Mumonkan Shusan's Shippe, about the Shippe stick. You know, he holds up the shippe, the stick, and says, if you call this a shippe, you are adhering to the fact. If you don't call it a shippe, you're ignoring the fact. Now, you monks, tell me, what will you call it? Use words, don't use words is also in that koan. You should not use words. And you should not use no words. What do you call it? In this koan of simply taking a bath and experiencing it, one of the things I think is interesting that is often not discussed is why 16? I mean, in the previous ones, it's one monk gets up and says, well, it was touch, and then, I mean, not touch, sight, and another one says it was sound, and another says it was taste. And then all of a sudden we have 16. Now, I wasn't there, but what I like about this 16 is what it implies about Sangha and about our practice and about the 14 of us here this morning. Melissa, by the way's car broke down, another form of enlightenment, and she's dealing with a tow truck. And Melanie has an audition, and Andrea's at work. Life goes on. But together there's something unique that happens. This passing through the needle together, this practicing together, sitting together. It's all good if you're sitting by yourself, but there's also something that happens when one goes through the eye of the needle. All of us go through the eye of the needle. When all of us go through the eye of the needle, one goes through as well. These monks stepped into a bath and simultaneously together attained the way. We have a Zazenkai coming up in March, which is an opportunity to sit period after period of Zazen and do a Dharma talk and do some training and do some work practice together. Why? Because together 16 or 30 of us can go through that eye of the needle as one. Because a half an hour of Zazen, 10 minutes of Zazen are it in completeness, and yet there's always work still to be done so that Seicho doesn't spit in our face. Sesshin, day after day of this. In the first day of Sesshin, as most of us know, we sit down and everything starts happening. We sit down, we still our body, our mind starts going crazy. Why did I do this? All the things that I didn't get done before I'm doing this. My body hurts. I'm no good at Zazen. My mind is racing everywhere. And the instruction is not to try to clamp that down, but to just let it be, because eventually in day 2 or day 3, it starts settling out. And together, holding that space together as a Sangha in a room or on Zoom, as we settle, the ripples in the pond start smoothing out for everybody. So this power of Sangha and the 16 at once, experiencing enlightenment. And then I also want to touch on, the koan is 16 Bodhisattvas. Right? So you have Buddha, the awakened one, and we all at our core are Buddha, the awakened one. A loose view of Bodhisattva is someone who has had an awakening, however small or however large, but is still of this world, and with that awakening chooses to serve, like Debbie Robbins, like John Hopper, like Clancy, Chalet, any of us. It's getting that glimpse of a different way to be in our lives and going, oh yeah, not only do I need more of this, but the world needs more of this. And this is who I'm going to be. That's the land of Bodhisattvas. That's the world, the realm of all of us. All of us. And so, remember that. Remember that. No matter how small that sliver of light, no matter what it is that you've seen in the garden or in the pot of soup or in the sunset or on the keyboard, that smile that I'm seeing on some of your faces is worth taking out into the world, all you bodhisattvas. And so, like in the newsletter, or, toss the newsletter away. My Zoomy says, appreciate your life. Get out there. Get out there. Buddha sat under a Bodhi tree. Hote is in the market with a bag full of goodies. We're here in Los Angeles or Riverside, up in the mountains, in the flats, wherever we are. Get out there. Appreciate your life, because the next B flat farm is around the corner, whether you know it or not. And that thing called enlightenment is right under our feet, whether we see it or not. Because when you get out of the way, there's only the one who sees through these eyes and hears through these ears and touches through this skin, smells through this nose. Who is that? That's the no Sharma out in the middle of Montana. That's the no Chalet stirring the pot and delivering food. So, 16 bodhisattvas take a bath. Look what can happen. You can end up here listening to a story about it for 25 minutes on a Sunday morning. Thoughts, questions, comments? You can unmute yourself.
I'll go. Yeah, I really I appreciate both the enlightenment, but also the spit in the face. I think that's kind of that's one of the beautiful things for me about this practice. Yesterday I was this is my daughter's birthday today, and we're celebrating with at my ex-wife's place, and some of the conversations I was like, this is not really, I don't have the same perspective as they do on certain things, and certain things that they would say. I could hear a voice in my head that was about to start saying, sort of Zen kind of things. Oh, well, everything is all one, or, these kind of things. And I was like, that's disgusting. Don't even open. I was like, don't even open your mouth right now. And just shut up and just listen and don't and just be with whatever this is, And I think that's that's been like the sort of one of the gifts of sitting for me, and also, you know, sometimes passing a koan and sometimes not. Uh, just yeah, everything's one, but get over yourself, and yeah, and I'm very appreciative of all of it, and especially the Dharma talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Philip. Stunned you into silence.
I thought this was a great talk today, and I thought it was very powerful.
Thank you.
Um, the place that I snapped to, I think, more than any other was when you were talking about when one passes through the eye of the needle, all the rest of us do too. And it reminded me of Master Dogen's quote that mind and body fall away, and mind and body of others fall away.
Mm.
In description of the of that particular experience. And you know, how beautiful is that? You know, that this is not about me becoming enlightened. You know, this is about all of us attaining to the status and wisdom or status and virtue of reality simultaneously. It's really a great great talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Galen. You reminded me of from Pema Chodron's book Tonglen, of breathing in everything and breathing out everything has that quality as well. At least that's how I hold it. You know, that for people that aren't familiar with it is a compassionate practice of breathing in all the pain and suffering of others, and them breathing out, you know, healing and peace and compassion. And one of the questions that often comes up about that is like, well, who am I to be the one who breathes in everybody else's, you know, pain and then makes it go away? Well, as Galen just said, body and mind fall away of one, but they're simultaneously falling away for all. It's not you, I, skin and bones and bag of flesh and ego, I, breathing it in. It's more that large self where everything is falling away. And from that point of view, the first vow, you know, sentient beings are numberless, I vow to save them, which, you know, from a linear, practical, phenomenal point of view is impossible, is a done deal from that perspective. It's a done deal from the perspective of there is no singular I. And here we go through the eye of the needle. Thanks, Galen. Chalet, how are you doing? What do you think? Pot stirrer? How do you feel as a bodhisattva?
I feel great. I don't know. I think what I'm thinking about is just, I'm reminded again how when I was thinking about when I have felt that that peaceful, wonderful place, it's always been when I haven't been trying for it. And I'm just reminded again by your talk that it's not something that we plan to have or can make happen. And it's just so easy actually when it does. And it's just so accessible when we just allow ourselves to. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that sense, can you make it happen? You can realize it moment by moment, right?
Yeah, that's a great way of saying that. Yeah, absolutely.
Because look, it's always occurring. It is always occurring.
Yeah.
I mean, can you stop it? You know?
I can cover it up with my own like mind chatter, I guess.
Yeah, but it is always occurring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was talking with somebody earlier this week who's immensely frustrated by koan study. You know? And it's like, yeah, okay. So what else are you going to do? I mean, you can stop. You can not do it.
Yeah.
You know, congratulations. You know, is that a win? I don't know. I mean, I've been there too. I'm just not saying anything about anybody. I've been there too. Ah! You know, I don't get it. I'm like that with my life sometimes. I don't get it. Well, it gets me. It gets me all the time. Like, because here it is. Here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Teepee on the trail. Never know.
Hmm.
It's a really nice hike, by the way. It is steep. Lori and I were like, oh my God, there was no running on that run. A little bit.
In a couple of spots.
A little bit. Anyway, thanks, Chalet.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, how's the business going?
Good. Good. Drop off later today.
Good. Hey, Chalet, can I ask you one more question?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Why keep coming back to this?
Why keep coming back?
Why are you doing this?
It's a part of me. I can't imagine not doing it.
Okay. And?
Aside from it being a part of who I am and a part of me, I'm also a part of a community, and that it feels good.
Well, that's nice.
It's where I learn, it's where I grow, I guess, too. And that's really important to me. I feel like I do my best. I learn a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and you've taken it out into the world.
Yes.
Look what's happened over the last couple of years, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Take it out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And remember, you are a bodhisattva. Now, only to the extent that you don't get spat in the face, you know?
Right.
I'm a bodhisattva, you know, like Philip was saying, you know, Zen can be so stinky sometimes. You walk around bowing at things and saying, well, we are all one, get off of it. Don't you realize that you and I are the same? You know, you're arguing with me, you're just arguing with yourself. Like,
Right.
good luck with that conversation.
Yeah.
No, it's more just how we're being.
Yeah.
Thanks, Shelley.
Yeah.
The other beautiful thing that happens with this practice over time is that I know I can call on Shelley and she will appear. I could call on Mark or Ken or Sharma or John or anybody, because this creates that kind of agility and that kind of resiliency. And it's another beautiful part of the practice, because you just get better at being it and at being you. All right. Well, Lori?
No, I just was agreeing to it with what you were saying. I mean, if you were to ask me, why do I come back? You know, why have I always had a practice? I would say that it's because of all of you, and it's being connected with something that matters, and something that matters in me, and the me that matters. So yeah, why wouldn't I want to be connected to that? That's pretty much it. And it's like you were talking earlier about the joys and the little joys. I think when we talk about the little joys, we're so cognizant of the fact that we can't always feel joy, because it's just part of the path. It's part of the journey of being on earth as a human, is that we're inundated with so much, and we have to choose what to be with and what to take action with. And I think that this practice is very instructive to me on an ongoing basis, that I can make those choices, and they're very important. That's kind of it for me.
Nice. All right, so we'll finish here so that you can go off and experience all the little joys and stop searching for the big ones. They're all right there in front of you.